This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
Lee Rogers here, and I'd like to talk to you once again about Jason Hartman. They conduct educational events with truly new techniques for making big money. Visit jasonhartman.com. Use America's best investment, real estate, to retire while you're still good looking. Do yourself a favor and act now to learn more. You'll be glad you did. And tell them Lee Rogers sent you.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Show with Jason Hartman. You're about to learn a new slant on investing, some exciting techniques, and fresh new approaches to the world's most historically proven asset class that will enable you to create more wealth and freedom than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine self-made multimillionaire who's actually been there and done it. He's a successful investor, lender, developer, and entrepreneur who's owned properties in 11 states, had hundreds of tenants, and been involved in thousands of real estate transactions. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to your financial independence day. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Welcome, empowered investors. This is episode 2255, and greetings from Taipei. Yes, I've been in Taipei for the past several days. It's been a nice adventure exploring around. I did some touristy stuff today, and it is obviously late here. It's morning where you are, probably. We've got listeners in 189 countries worldwide, but so many of them are in the Western Hemisphere, so probably for most of you it's morning time. But I'm about to go to bed, and I am wearing my bathrobe. I know you think, what is Jason doing? Is he trying to be Hugh Hefner? Certainly not. That's never been my style. You know, the guy that always wore the bathrobe and the slippers around, right? Anyway, I wore this outfit for a couple of our Empowered Investor Pro calls because those are in a crazy time zone for me. And I'll be back in the U.S. in just 8 days. I'll be back in the U.S. to host our collective mastermind event in Texas. So that is where I will be. But until then, I'm on my way to Japan and then South Korea. I'm leaving out of South Korea. So that is the plan. Couple things to share with you today. We've got some properties to look at. We've got an interesting video to look at real quick, a short video. And then we have got a video that I filmed with one of my drivers in Cambodia. I was in Angkor Wat before this. It was absolutely incredible. Be sure you are following me on Instagram and X and Facebook and all of those places, especially Instagram and Facebook, where you'll see all of my videos of all of my travels and these interesting experiences I have, like the fact that today we are well past Christmas, yet I did a short video on my Instagram account today showing the Christmas tree and all the Christmas decorations still up here. Southeast Asia is very much into Christmas. The Christmas carols are playing. I thought the rule was that by New Year's Day, you were supposed to take all the decorations down. Isn't that kind of the unwritten rule? Now, they're still doing it here. They still got Christmas spirit going into January. So it's just kind of funny how that is. Okay, remember all the shows we've done where we've talked about modern monetary theory, otherwise known as MMT. And we've had some really well-known guests in the MMT world on the show in the past. And MMT overall is kind of a fantasy. It doesn't work. But it has a few elements of it that are absolutely brilliant. And in the MMT theory, one of the things those proponents, usually proponents of MMT, talk about is how the U.S. creates this incredible circular system where you earn your money in U.S. dollars, you pay taxes in U.S. dollars, you spend in U.S. dollars, you pay debts in U.S. dollars, and by taxing, they create demand for U.S. dollars. Well, this same MMT theory that is done on an individual basis, or I guess inside the country basis, is also done on a world basis. And you can see, as Michael Hudson, the well-known economist, is talking about it here on this video, you can see that this is a good reason that the rest of the world would be really upset with the United States. And you know, it's hard to fault them for that. They have a reasonable complaint. But what he doesn't tell you in the video is all of the great things the U.S. has done for the world. So on balance, you have to balance this out, okay? Yes, under Bretton Woods, back in 1945, when they met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, and the U.S. basically took over the world monetary system. It also agreed to do some things in exchange. Remember the Marshall Plan? Did you notice how the past many decades since then, the U.S. has been the policeman of the world, right? So there are definitely things that the U.S. has done to earn that right, or at least to trade privilege for privilege, right? To trade contribution for privilege, okay? It's not as black and white. You want to bash the U.S., and then there's the people that give the U.S. too much credit. I'm kind of in the middle. It's like the Tao, right? It's the Zen way of the middle path. And there's just a balance to this stuff. And you never seem to hear the balance, which drives me crazy. You only hear one side or the other. You hear the U.S. haters with their side. You hear the U.S. patriots with their side. And you never really hear the truth, which is somewhere in the middle. But here is one of the sides where it is definitely not in the middle. But just notice the brilliance of this system, because it really, really, really is quite brilliant, okay?
Makes African and third world debt different from the American debt. Number one, America is never going to pay its debts. It doesn't have to. Its debts are in its own currency. We can simply print it. The African debt is not in its currency. The African debt is in U.S. dollars. Africa has to earn the U.S. dollars. The only way it can earn the U.S. dollars is not to be assassinated for growing its own food and becoming independent and doing something that the United States does not like.
Okay, so the same is true of all of us as individuals, if we're Americans, right? Because we have to earn our money in U.S. dollars and then pay the IRS in U.S. dollars. Well, actually, that's not quite true. We don't have to earn it in U.S. dollars. We could earn it in any currency. But in order to pay our tax obligation and not go to prison, we have to convert whatever currency, Japanese yen or Brazilian real or Mexican pesos, whatever it is, we have to convert it to U.S. dollars because the IRS will only accept U.S. dollars. So by having a taxing authority, they create demand for their paper money, for their fiat money. It's really quite a brilliant system. It's absolutely brilliant. And by creating the Bretton Woods system, which we have definitely seen a lot of pressure, a lot of leaks in that ship lately, right? And that'll probably continue to happen. But it's a really quite a brilliant thing. You got to give them credit where it's due, because they've done it on an international scale and a domestic scale.
The principle underlying the foundation of the World Bank, the International Bank, IBRD, is that no country should grow its own food. Africa and the third world should only grow export crops. In order to have an oversupply of cocoa and other tropical raw materials to keep down the price, they must buy their grain from the United States or Europe, so that if they do something that we don't like, we can do what America tried to do to China in the 60s. We can sanction them. We can say, we're going to starve you. We're going to not export any grain to you. So owing their foreign debt in dollars means that they have to somehow sell something that the United States wants, not what they want.
See, a lot of people have asked over the years, and we've been talking about this for a long time. I've mentioned it ever since I read a really famous article on this back in, I don't know, I talked about it on a show probably in 2007-ish, somewhere around there, right? Many, many years ago. And it was this well-known article, I can't remember the name of it, but it basically outlines, why does the U.S. need to tax when it has the inflation tax? If you have a central bank and you can just create fiat money out of thin air between the Treasury and the central bank, and that unholy alliance between the Fed and the Treasury, right? If you can just create this money out of thin air, why do you need to tax the people? You're taxing them through inflation. Well, here is the reason. Because you've got to create demand for your currency. That is the brilliance of the circular system. And they've done it on a global scale, and they've done it on a domestic scale, as much as people may not like it.
I think the most evil organizations in the world today are the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
So there you go. Just thought that was interesting. Wanted to share it with you. So before we get to our interview portion with the driver in Cambodia, let's take a look at two properties, a good one and a bad one. So this one is the no thanks deal. Now, why is it the no thanks deal? Well, it is in the Denver area. Now, this is an area where we used to recommend properties because we used to have great properties many years ago. And many of you listening to this show became very wealthy taking our advice and buying properties through our network years ago in Denver. But it no longer makes sense. Yet here is a competitor of ours selling these properties in that market. Now, here's the kind of deal you'll get if you go through our competitor. You'll get this property that is just over 1,300 square feet for $480,000. That's a lot. That's $347 per square foot. And the monthly rent is only $2.17 per square foot. You can already see the problem here, folks. You're going to have to put $125,000 into this property to buy it with a 75% LTV. The rent is $3,000 per month. That's the projection. It's a nice new house. I'll give them that. Problem is, it's just about $100,000 too expensive. It's just too expensive to make sense. So let's look at page 2 of our pro forma here. And remember, one of the things you want to do to become a good real estate investor is you must standardize your data. This is one of the very good decisions I made back in 2004. And we do that with Property Tracker. You can get a free account. Just go to propertytracker.com, get your totally free account, no strings attached. Yes, there is a premium account. You can upgrade if you want, but you really don't need to because the free account is quite great. It's quite a generous free account. So get your free account and you can do these performers for yourself. And when you do them yourself, you can change the assumptions, you can play with the numbers, and you can see the outcome of changing these assumptions. This is the thing that will make you a really, really good investor. So go get your free Property Tracker account. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go get a free Property Tracker account at propertytracker.com. Again, no strings attached. It's a great deal. It's free. Okay, so here are all your expenses on this property and your mortgage payment, debt service, and so forth. And your monthly cash flow is projected at negative cash flow, $317 per month, $317 per month, or close to $4,000 a year negative cash flow. We've got all the same assumptions here. 6% appreciation, 8% vacancy rate, a lot of the competitors. By the way, this is not their pro forma. We put it into our pro forma to standardize it so you can compare apples to apples, because we're going to show you another property that does make sense here in just a moment. So I do want you to pay special attention to this because we're going to compare it to the other one in a moment. This is the debt coverage ratio. It's 0.85. Now, being at 1, when your debt coverage ratio is 1, that means you are at parity or at par. You are at a break-even scenario. Here, you're below break-even. You are at a negative, dangerous scenario. In fact, there is no DSCR lender. What does that mean? That means debt service coverage ratio lender, DSCR, that would loan on this property based on these terms, because they know you are going to get in trouble. The likelihood of you getting in trouble with this property is extremely high, given that debt coverage ratio. Okay, now your cash on cash return is negative 3%, negative 3%. But amazingly, income property is such an incredibly resilient asset class. With the leverage, with the appreciation, even with negative cash flow, you could still get a positive return on investment. Now, many of our properties will have similar positive returns on investment, all things considered. However, that doesn't tell you everything. The reason will become clear to you in just a moment when we look at the good property. So this guy, if you're watching on video, if you're not, you're getting it all listening pretty much, okay? This guy that I made on AI says no thanks to this deal. He says no thanks. But on the next one, this is one of our properties that you can find at jasonhartman.com. This sexy lady that I also made on AI says yes. She says yes. So I thought that would be pretty funny. Okay, this property is in Nashville. Now, Nashville is Denver 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, right? Nashville is a good, desirable city. I am so pleased that we have properties in Nashville finally. For many, many years, we've been trying to get Nashville to work, and it hadn't worked very well, but we did find some properties. We've got a small number of them, but Nashville's pretty great with these. All right, so this one, 1,736 square feet, $449,990, 125,000 in, or 126,000, it's about the same. And here you've got a projected rent at $3,200 per month. But take a look at what happens on the next page. Your debt coverage ratio here, based on the same amount down, okay, 25% down, but you've got an incentive on the financing here that brings it to only 4.99%. So a buy down from the builder. This is also brand new construction, just like the other one. So apples to apples, they're both brand new construction. Now, this one, you have got a cash on cash return projected at 5% positive, whereas the other one was 3% negative. So there is an 8% delta in the cash on cash return projections on these two properties. This one, the overall return on investment is projected at 31% annually, and you've got similar assumptions, but this one does have a rent guarantee, so it gets a little better assumption on vacancy rate. Okay, so talk to your investment counselor about this. And again, with a free property tracker account, you can just change any of these assumptions. You can change the mortgage, you can change the price, you can change the appreciation rate, you can change whatever the heck you want. You can change the insurance cost. Everything is changeable. And it only takes about 5 minutes to do these pro formas. And once you get good at it, it takes you 3 minutes to do a pro forma, maybe even 2 minutes. And you'll get this nice, beautiful report that looks just like this. I cut it in half to put it on 2 slides for you to make the numbers big and easy to read. It's normally just on 1 page, and it's fantastic. Okay, here your cash flow is projected at $577 a month positive cash flow. And again, I went over the numbers with you. The debt coverage ratio, though, on this one is positive. It's 1.32. Remember, 1 being break even. This is much higher than break even. So the likelihood of getting into trouble with this property is extremely low, given that very good debt coverage ratio. So the reason I'm talking about debt coverage ratio today is I know that a lot of investors are really, really conservative. And the interesting thing about investing is sometimes being super conservative can be super risky. I know it's counterintuitive, but if you're conservative, the number you want to kind of focus on is debt coverage ratio, because again, that is the how likely is it that I'll ever get into trouble with this property ratio. That's the debt coverage ratio. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about it a little bit today. All right, I hope that's helpful to you. Remember, we've got Empowered Investor Live. We haven't had, by this date, we will not have had a live conference for about 15, 16 months. This is coming up in Irvine, California, my old hometown for many, many years. I built a big career in Irvine and Newport Beach for many, many years in traditional real estate. So I'm back in my home stomping grounds. It's April 4th through the 6th, Empowered Investor Live. It's a 2.5-day conference. Save the dates. We will have a ticket sales website for you soon, and we're going to have an early bird that'll blow your mind, early bird deals. And I know the vast majority of you just buy those early bird tickets right away. That's the smartest thing to do because the deal never gets better than the early bird deal. All right. So save the date, April 4th through the 6th for Empowered Investor Live. We have a lot of fun at these conferences. We drink a little bit. We have levity. It's really fun. We have tons of education. We have an exhibition hall with all sorts of trade show booths, so you can meet a whole bunch of different vendors and suppliers of all the important products to make your real estate portfolio really, really work well. It's just a great time. We'll have a band on Saturday night. We'll do some dancing and cut a rug and tear it up, and it's just a lot of fun. So it starts Friday afternoon at 1 p.m., right after lunch. So grab a bite to eat and then join us at 1 p.m. on Friday. We'll go into the evening. We'll have a cocktail party that night, and then all day Saturday, and then Saturday night we'll have the band, and then all day Sunday. And we'll end Sunday at about 6 p.m. All right, so that's Empowered Investor Live. Let's get to our interview today with my driver in Cambodia. Super nice guy. So here we go. Hey, so I am on my way to the airport here in Cambodia. Saw Angkor Wat today. It was incredible. Saw some of the other temples yesterday, did a hot air balloon ride, and it was amazing. But my driver, Sam, is very knowledgeable, and just thought I'd share with you some of his knowledge about kind of the economy and what's going on.
Yeah, so like some of the people in Cambodia that are working on like rice.
Yeah, rice paddies,
rice fields, rice paddy.
Right.
So they make the benefit very small, and also the people that are planting like cassava, you know cassava, tapioca, tapioca, and also the cashew tree farm. So not good at making the benefit. So the benefit is very small.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why some people that live in the countryside, they don't want to live in the countryside, so they want to
move to the city.
Yeah, to move to the city. And
what kind of jobs do they do though? Tell me, like, if someone's living in the countryside and they're ambitious, they want to go to the city. What do they want to do for a living? Tourism? I mean, tourism's obviously a big thing. Right?
Depend on the knowledge.
Yeah.
Depend on the education. Because the young generation that they get a very good education, so they can work like in a bank.
Work in a bank.
Yeah, work in a bank, and also
everything's financialized.
Yeah. And also some people they work in a hotel. And also restaurants.
Yeah.
But the people that they don't have a good knowledge, so they can work in a factory, like in a factory close.
Yeah.
In capital city in Phnom Penh.
Okay.
Yes. But like people that come to Siem Reap, so they work in a hotel and also the restaurant and also some part of the boutique. Yes.
How does the education work here? The school is public and free, right? Do they charge? There's no charge for school.
Yeah. So for the public school, free for the kid in Cambodia.
Yeah.
So when they go to study,
till what, like
start
till
from
18 years old?
So
17?
start from 6 years old.
Yeah.
So until 18 years old, so they're free education in the public school.
And then what about university?
University, we have like two types of universities. So one called like a private university.
Yeah.
And another one called a public university.
Okay.
But public university not pay, so they're free as well.
Yeah.
But,
free for 2 years or 4 years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Wow. That's
and
good.
also the private school need to pay every year.
Is the university and the school for the public school, is it good? Like, is the education good or is it not so good?
Depend on the subject that they choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the subject that they choose like a Khmer language, so very, very good. That's why, because the most professor very good experience.
Yeah.
Yes. I can say the most good in university when they need like a good skill, so they can get a very good subject in university. And after when they finish from the university, so they have a good chance to get a good job as well in the city. And some people they can work like in organization, and some people can work in a government office as well. Yes.
Yeah. Is a government job here considered a good job to get?
Yeah, the government job.
Why is that a good job?
That's why I can say like when they get retirement, so they can get an income.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
they have good pensions.
Yeah, they have
right?
good pensions.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the inflation? Are the prices going up a lot here?
Not really.
No. So 5 years ago, if you want to buy some eggs,
Yeah.
is it about the same price? Not too much more?
A little bit. Not too much more.
Not too much
more.
more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So nobody's complaining about inflation here. Huh?
Not really.
That surprises me, because the driver that drove me from the airport to the resort
Yes.
said that the inflation was a problem. He was complaining about everything so expensive.
So.
Or was it just always like that? Maybe it was just
depend
always
on the
like that.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, depend on the place, because
But what about your car, your fuel? You own this car.
Yeah.
And, fuel, gas. I mean, how is that? Is that
yeah. If we're talking about the car, and the gas.
And the repairs.
Yeah, so the gas, I think compared to the COVID-19, so the gas during COVID-19 really expensive. Yeah. So right now, a little bit cheaper than. And also about the car, the second hand. So the cost cheaper than before COVID-19. Example, like my car, so I bought around $16,000 US.
Okay.
So now it's only $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so can I get it?
Right. Okay.
So I think the people, they complain about the inflation because, the factor on the food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the food is more expensive?
Yeah, more expensive here, yes, the food.
But not eggs?
Not eggs, yes, not eggs.
Eggs are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Well, I see chickens all over the place just walking around on the street here.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about Khmer Rouge and all this stuff that happened here. There's some bad history.
Oh, yes. So when we're talking about Khmer Rouge, about the civil war, very, very sad story.
Yep.
And we are suffering for the people in Cambodia.
Oh, that's awful.
That's why more than 2 or 3 million people died in that time.
Oh my God.
And also the most of them destroyed to the house, and also the Buddhist temple, school.
It's awful.
Yeah, so very, very sad.
Even Angkor Wat was being used for weapons storage, I heard.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Some part of the temple, so the Khmer Rouge destroy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why when you go to the Angkor Wat, you can see some of the temple that are broken too much because some part destroyed by the people, by the humans. And
why did they destroy it?
Yeah, this is very hard because some people, they need to take some statute, like the carving.
Yeah.
So from a temple and sold to the country.
Oh, they sold it.
Yeah, sold it. Yes, that's why they need to destroy to the temple, and also they take it from the temple to sell to the country.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And also some temple, I can say destroyed by the natures because during the king abandoned during Angkor Thom city or Angkor Wat city, so the king someone look after the temple.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel now? Does the government feel stable to you now?
Yeah, the government is stable now.
Yeah.
The government is stable. And also now the temple really lucky because we have UNESCO to control.
Right.
Yes, because Angkor Wat temple so registered to the UNESCO in 1992.
Well, that's why they said you can't fly over it.
Yeah.
Like in the balloon last night.
Yeah.
They said we can't fly over Angkor Wat.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier before we started filming about investment, and you said there wasn't enough investment here, and that was making the economy slow.
Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting because a lot of this you see is pretty primitive and rural, like what we're looking at now. Then you see some brand new place like that, really nice coffee shop with a hotel and another restaurant attached, and it's beautiful. It's like there's money, but it's spotty. We just passed a brand new beautiful gas station I saw, but then you have this kind of ramshackle stuff there's obviously no capital investment here. This is just people trying to make money. What's going on with that?
That's some of the modern shop or the fancy shop. So they have different private company. Mm-hmm. I guess some from the Western countries.
Yeah.
They make a partner with the Cambodian people, so they can make new brands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coffee shop that will be modern and be fancy shop. Not just one person. I can say 2 or 3 person second hand to be a partners. Then I can make a good restaurant and good coffee shop.
But a lot of the capital investment you said was from China, right?
Yeah, some especially in the capital city.
Yeah.
So the most from China. Related to the banks and also the factory.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the Chinese that they invest.
Yeah, right.
On that part of.
Okay. And you said that you don't like China. You're more interested in Europe and the Western world. But the government likes China, here, right? Because they like the money that China's bringing in, right?
Yeah, so I can say the boss that my government related now, so they can say he cooperate the country in the world as well. Because my government, he graduated from the West Point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so from the Army school in the United States. So his heart related to those country as well. But if we talking about the old story in Cambodia, so the most some culture, so we copy some from the China as well. Yeah, right. And also some part from the India as well.
Yeah, right.
That's why I guess my government, so it can cooperate both between Chinese and also the Western countries as well, like European countries as well.
Were you saying corporate boards? Is that what you just said?
I mean, keep relationship.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, keep relationship.
Okay.
So to the country in the world as well.
Yeah.
And also my government always get support from the United States as well.
Hey, tell us about Angkor Wat. You know, there's a lot of controversy about it. I mean, there's people that say it was built like 900 years ago, but some disagree with that and say it's way older. And how they built it, I mean, the nearest rock quarry is like 50 miles away. You know, did aliens come and help them build that with special technology?
Yeah.
Like the pyramids, it's like the same thing as the pyramids. Nobody knows.
That is true. That some of the tour guy told you about the Angkor Wat, because that one very old temple.
Well, the tour guide didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
I was just studying it before I came.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the Angkor Wat temple or the one kind of temple like the big
Angkor Wat
pilgrimage.
Yeah, I mean all of them. You know, the whole group. There's like 400 acres of temples here or something like that. It's huge. It's giant. But yeah, you know, what do you hear about it? What do you guys believe, locals? What do you think?
So I think in that time, the most like the kings, and also the Khmer or the people in Cambodia, so they like to build a temple for worship, for praying.
Yeah.
And also the king and also the people in Cambodia, they use a very special, unique to build a temple. I mean, like especially about the transportation. So the most they use elephants.
Yeah.
That are pulling the stones from one part to other part to build a temple. And also
that's a long way to pull the stones.
And also other one we call like a bamboo raft, that they can put the stone on the bamboo and also transfer along the rivers.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the Sinister river connected to the the waterfall to the Kulen Mountain National Park, about 60 kilometers from Angkor City to the Kulen Mountains. That's why the king put the sandstone.
They say it took 37 years.
Yes, 37 years. We could start to build from 1113 to 1150.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So thank you very much for making a good question. Yeah. I'm very happy to share with my knowledge and my culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.